Arthur Abraham wins a comfortable unanimous decision over 12 rounds against Paul Smith in the rematch. This was basically the exact same Paul Smith that we saw in the first fight, but it was a much better Arthur Abraham. He clearly had a much better training camp than he had before the first fight. Smith had a decent first round. I thought he won that round pretty clearly as Abraham was just sizing him up and moving around the ring. But from the second round on, Abraham started opening up a lot more on Smith, and his stamina and work rate was far better in this fight than it was first time around. So pretty much he did take Smith lightly the first time. So he was opening up on Smith, and one of the keys in this fight to the ease of Arthur Abraham's victory was confidence. Not Abraham's confidence, because he's always been confident. He was confident in the first fight. He just didn't have the condition that he had in the second fight. Confidence in terms of Paul Smith, because Smith didn't have the confidence in the first fight to fully take advantage of Arthur Abraham's mistakes. When Abraham would give him an opportunity to unload, Smith was cautious and worried, and he didn't fully believe in himself to commit and to take charge of the fight completely, because Abraham will give you opportunities. When he goes up against the ropes and puts his hands up, you can get some free shots in. But Smith was cautious to do that in the first fight, and he was even more cautious to do it in this rematch, because once he felt some of those combinations from Arthur Abraham, and Abraham did have the much quicker hands, and he's probably the bigger puncher too. In fact, definitely the bigger puncher. Once he let Paul Smith feel some of that power and some of that speed, Paul Smith pretty much resigned himself to defeat. He really lost a hell of a lot of confidence the first couple times that Abraham had him up against the ropes and was unloading on him. Totally lost his confidence, and from there on in, it was almost as if Smith he wasn't in complete survival mode, but in the back of his head, he was thinking more about avoiding getting knocked out rather than actually winning the fight. And I'm not hating on him for that. I'm not criticizing him for that. I'm just telling you that's what happened. And in my opinion, that's my interpretation of it. And yeah, like I say, Smith didn't have the confidence. I mean, there was still times in there where Smith could have taken advantage, but he was too intimidated. He didn't have the confidence. Like when Abraham unloads on you with a combination, he then likes to take a rest, and he then moves around the ring, takes a rest, goes up against the ropes. Smith should have followed him and been all over him in them situations. Now, he did follow him cautiously, but he just let Abraham regroup and recover because he didn't have the confidence to take that extra step. If you see Robert Stieglitz, when he stopped Abraham, Stieglitz had the confidence to go in there and say, nah, fuck you. This is my fight. This is my ring. I own this situation. And that's why he managed to get Abraham out of there. That's why he managed to do better in his fights with Abraham than Paul Smith did. Certainly in this fight. But like I say, it comes down to confidence. Stieglitz had that type of confidence, had that type of belief to command the situation and to, mentally have a hold over Abraham in the ring. But Smith didn't. He was happy to compete with Abraham on an even keel, but he was never... He never had the confidence to try and dominate Abraham and to try and put Abraham in his place. He just didn't have that. He just doesn't have that type of innate confidence in him. And I'm not saying that he would have won the fight if he did have that type of confidence, but it certainly would have been a lot closer. He certainly would have given himself a better chance. But it is what it is. He lost the fight fair and square on the judges' cards. No question about it this time. It was a clear win for Arthur Abraham. And you really have to look at George Groves and James DeGale and compare them to Abraham, because they both took Paul Smith out much easier than Abraham did. And Abraham's a world champion at this stage. So yeah, drop your comments below. Let me know how you felt about Paul Smith's performance, where you see Arthur Abraham going from here. Who would you like to see Abraham fight next? He's probably going to fight, I think, Felix Sturm. That's who they're looking to match him up against. But what about some of the other super middleweights out there? Where do you see Paul Smith going from here? Drop your comments below. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.